Welcome everyone. Monday morning. I'm glad you're here. Move it down a little bit. So I was telling the last group I don't have too much of a hefty philosophical theme. It's more of a story to share. But over the weekend, I was taking my son to see one of his favorite bands, and it's Queens of the Stone Age, and it was at a Sin downtown, and we had a great time, and I didn't realize how much of their music I had actually learned through him playing DJ in the car, but I knew almost every song. But before we started leaving to go to the concert, I had been researching Rishikesh, India a little bit more, because I'm leading a yoga retreat there in November. And anytime I research a place, I try to look at different resources, because certain resources will give you like, hey, the top 10 things to do here. But I also start to look at blogs that people have written about being there. I look at YouTube videos of, travelers who, post their, what do they call, travel logs or whatever through video means. And when you cross-reference a lot of different things, you discover more about place, than just that one article or the one place of suggestion. And I was looking specifically for information regarding a cave that we're going to be going to visit, because the cave was inhabited by a man named Vasisti. So we have a pose called Vasistiasana, right? And it's this side plank pose. And it's named after that yogic sage. Well, I discovered that this cave that we're going to go to actually is in an area where there's other caves near the Ganges River. And there's one in particular called the Jesus Cave. And I got real excited about that, because through a little bit of reading, just through that resource, it was saying when Jesus traveled, this is one of the places he stayed in India, and that he meditated in this particular cave, and that there were records of this, and other yogis had had visions of him being there and meditating that were there after him. And it excited me because I grew up in the Deep South, gospel minister's daughter, in the Church of Christ, which is extremely conservative and takes everything so literally. And I never quite conformed to it all. I always questioned things. And when I became a spiritual seeker, I wanted to know more. Like, I wanted to find truth. And so I love history and I love culture. And over the course of being on the spiritual quest for years, I discovered that there's a great book out there called The Lost Years of Jesus. Because, biblically speaking, it drops off when he's 12 and it picks back up when he's 30. And we're kind of left in wonderment of what did he do all those years? You're told, well, he was trained to be a carpenter, he was getting educated or whatever. But there's actual records of him being in India, studying with yogic sages, studying with the rishis, staying at a Buddhist monastery. So anyway, I got super excited when I saw this, because I realized, well, we have to go there too. We're not going to go all the way to India and not go to the Jesus Cave. So I'm excited because we're plugging that in too. Although last night I got a little fearful, because I also discovered within the jungle there are elephants, tigers, pythons, tarantulas, things that could potentially freak me out, right? We're still going. We're going to be brave and we're going to go. But anyway, I felt like two worlds were kind of colliding at that point. It was like my childhood and then my new path all coming together in this place in India. And so I was so excited on the way to the concert, telling my son about this. And he's like, Mom, let's listen to the music. Let's get into the show, And we did. And it was great. But then on the way home, I started talking to him. He's going to be going to Birmingham to play a gig. And I can't take him. And so he needs to drive himself, and that worries me as a mom, because he's not driven that far back himself before. And so anyway, we were talking about it and discussing it, and he's just such a little guru. He's just such a little wise one, and he's always just coming right back at me with the perfect information. It's like, Mom, a lot of the kids my age that go to my school that are musicians like me, they spray paint school. They're out drinking. They're smoking nicotine. They're smoking weed. He was like, I don't do that stuff. And I feel like you're not trusting me. But you have every reason to trust me. And it's like, it's not that I don't trust you. I don't trust other people. And I'm nervous if you were to break down, what are you gonna do? So I got him a AAA card, I'm trying to do all the things. But then he also put up to me, he was like, but my love language is words of affirmation. And it sounds to me like you're doubting me and distrusting me. And why can't you encourage me and support me? Because this is one of the best paying gigs I've ever had. So then the mother guilt sinks in. But it's like, no, but I'm being a good mother here, and it's like going back and forth. So anyway, that made me start thinking the next morning when I was putting together this lesson plan, I was thinking about love languages. And I had us all sit down at the dining room table a couple of weeks ago. Because Rob can be very anal in the kitchen. He's very particular about where everything goes. He wants it to be perfectly clean. He wants certain spices to be right there next to the stove. And if anything gets moved, that's when we see another side of him. And we all kind of shy away from the kitchen for that reason. But the reason why I sat everybody down is because I wanted the kids to realize what his love language was. His love language is acts of service. So he loves to work hard so that he can give us things. He loves coming home after working and cooking a meal for us. That's his love language. And so I was trying to sit the kids down and go, he's like this for a reason, because if we're not doing what he's asking us to do, he's not feeling like he's loved and appreciated. And we all love and appreciate his cooking because he's a really good chef. And so I was trying to explain that so that we wouldn't all be running away from the kitchen. But I also wanted us to focus on everybody's love language and to help the kids understand, we need to give you your love language, but you also need to give us our love language. Because whatever your love language is, that's what you tend to give. And if you notice your parent, your child, someone in your close circle, that's their love language because that's how they give it, then it's important, even though that may not be your love language, that's how they're going to be able to be open to receive your love, because that's the language they know. And on the other hand, if they know your love language, then they can also be in the mindset of, oh, this is their love language. And all of us are different. Mine's physical touch and quality time. My son's is words of affirmation. Rob's is acts of service. We have no clue what Ella's is. No clue. We haven't figured her out yet. She's turning 16, so it'll hopefully appear at some point. But anyway, I started thinking about yoga is an ultimate love language. Because think about when we want quality time with ourselves, what do? We schedule a class. We go to a class, we roll out the mat, we take that time for ourselves. That's quality time to go within. The physical touch, sometimes we're laying on our backs, breathing and focusing on the bellowing effect of the belly, the rise and the fall of the chest. Sometimes we bring the hands to the hips and square them up. Sometimes we hug the knees in like we're giving ourselves a warm, big hug. We've got physical touch in the practice. We've got words of affirmation. We use affirmation in certain poses to help to reprogram the mind, to plant positive seeds of thought, to reach for a higher truth. We do acts of service, because when we're willfully moving through these asanas and doing it with a focused mindset, we're bringing that act of service to our mind, to our body, to our spirit. And even though we don't get necessarily a physical gift per se, although we can, because the first time I started doing yoga, I realized, wow, my thighs are stronger and slimmer. That was a physical thing that I noticed within 3 months. a practice. Now, I've been doing it 20 years. You might notice something being gifted to you in that regard, something physically with your health, something for your mental health or spiritual health or emotional health. But really the greatest gift of all is being present. And being present in the here and now. And giving yourself that time to anchor in the now. So yoga is a love language. It's got it all. And I never realized that until yesterday. So I want you to realize that today. We're going to start off in a restorative pose with the bolster across the mat. We're going to set up our thighs on top so that the rim of the pelvis or our hip bones are right at the edge, and the belly is going to spill over just like our feet are spilling over the opposite side. And there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can cross your arms and provide a headrest, or you can separate your arms like a goalpost and turn to one temple. So try out those positions, and if you're lying on one side of your face, be there for maybe like 10 breaths and then swap and switch it to the other. If you're on your brow, you can remain. So just take a moment to close your eyes once you get situated. As you're face down, take some deep breaths. Breathing in and out fully and deeply through the nose. Notice where you experience the feeling of movement or expansion in your torso as you breathe in. And hopefully you're sensing it in your front body, back body, and side body. When you are resting face down, just notice the pressure and where it's meeting you. For instance, if you're on the side of the face, it may be applying that pressure point in your temple, that place where we often naturally go to when we have a headache. If you're on your brow, you're most likely penetrating an acupressure point here for the third eye, which invites in some mental peace. And if you haven't already turned to the other side of your face, you may want to do so now. And maybe contemplate for a moment, if you haven't read the book or done the little self-test, what is your love language? Is it acts of service, gifts, affirmations, quality time, or physical touch? And later on, you can be contemplative about what some in your circle may be. Let's take 3 cleansing breaths here. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Sigh it out audibly through your mouth. Take 2 more. Last one.
Now slip your hands up underneath your shoulders, neutralize your neck, and push away from the ground so you're backing away from the bolster. Bring your big toes together to touch as you walk your hands back. Slide your thighs wider. Turn the bolster to face you, to come in between your knees. And then we're going to lower into child's pose. And the same principle applies here. Maybe it feels better to be on your brow. Maybe it feels better to be on one cheek. So you might have noticed in that previous position, that restorative option, you were getting a dip, a little bit of a back bend effect, nothing extreme. And here it's more of a forward fold. We're hinging from the hips, we got more flexion in the knees. The belly is most likely tucked in a little bit or being supported by the prop. And both of these positions that we're starting off the practice with can be calming to the mind and the body. Being closer to the earth, they can be more grounding as well. So make sure you're using your breath as a way to anchor into the present moment. Give this gift to yourself. And then if you've been resting on one cheek, turn to the other, please. And then inviting in an affirmation, repeating it quietly in your own mind. I relax now from all outer involvements into my own inner haven of peace. Now let's slide your hands closer, push down your palms to lift away from the prop. We're going to transfer to hands and knees. So we're not going to be in tabletop very long, but if you need extra padding and support, absolutely grab a blanket, set it below. And as you're pushing down through the feet, your toes are apart at this point, meaning the big toes separate. You're plugging the hands into the floor, straightening out through your arms so that the belly naturally hugs in. Now keep that belly hugging in as you walk the hands over to the right side of your sticky mat, onto the wood floor actually. And keep your right hand as is, but your left arm's gonna extend out. And now let your abdomen and chest sink halfway towards the floor. Push lightly into your right hand and slide back with your left hand. So you're adding in a little traction. It's a little inner work here. Opening up this side body with this side stretch. And then inhale, slide your left hand back. Walk your hands across now to the left. Hands are shoulder distance apart. This time the left hand is the short hand and the right arm's gonna extend out. Maybe this is plenty for you, but if you want a little extra, push forward with your left hand, draw back with your right. Now with that extra exertion, you may find that you may want to hold your breath, but keep the breath flowing. On your next inhalation, gently slide your right hand in, bring your hands back to the mat, except your hands are gonna go a little bit farther out beyond your shoulders. Curl your toes under. Now lift the knees away from the floor. Coming into Adho Mukha Svanasana, your downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, press into the knuckles of your hands. Notice how your index finger and your thumb mounts may not be totally solidified to the floor, but try to make them actively rooting. Roll the shoulders away from your ears, slide up through the spine, bowing the head between the arms. Good, now begin to walk forward to the top of the mat. And when your feet come forward, grab those blocks along the way. Set them up beyond your toes, shoulder distance apart. Set your hands on top so that you're in kind of a more modified variation of Uttanasana. So now think about the mound of the big toe and push it down into the floor. The mound of the pinky toes, push them down into the floor. The inner heel, the outer heels, push them into the floor, and notice the difference in your calves and thighs from that point of action. Have your shoulders stacked over your hands, lengthen out through the spine, so your head is actually slightly lifted because the neck is in line with the rest of your spine. If you need to be here, belly hugging in, stay. But if you want to go deeper into Uttanasana, you're going to release your hands alongside your feet or towards the feet. You're going to hinge more from your hips so that you're inverting more, lowering your head, relaxing your neck, replenishing the skin of the face, bringing some energy and blood flow to the sensory organs, the pineal pituitary gland in the head, and you can nod or bobble the head very lightly to help to unravel the neck or any tension there. Affirming as you hold Uttanasana. Nothing, no one on this earth can hold me down or back. And so often we're looking for love on the outside, and we may be missing how someone's trying to show us love because it's not our love language. On your next in-breath, root down through the soles of the feet, sweep the arms to your sides and up overhead. When you bring the arms up overhead, you're going to take a hold of your left wrist with your right hand. You're going to root your left foot and extend more through your left side body and curve over to the right, creating Chandrasana, your crescent moon. Make sure that your tailbone's not tucked under. You have a neutral pelvis. Affirming mentally within, I am strong and courageous. Inhale, coming back up, swap hand hold. Lifting and lengthening through the right side body, rooting through the right foot, swaying to the left side of the room, breathing with depth and control. Affirming, I am strong and I am courageous. Inhale, building ourselves back up, and exhale, let the arms sway to your sides. Good. All right, so what we're going to be doing is like a cloud salutation, like a puppet on strings or like Tai Chi. So it's very light stepping, very loose and limp in movements. All right, so go ahead and bend your knees. So, no muscle engagement necessarily. And we're going to lift alternate sides. So right wrist, left knee. And then bend the knees more to lightly lay the foot down and picking up the left hand, right knee. What are they called? Marionettes? Is that the name of the puppet on strings? Mm-hmm. I'm doing this in honor of the moon, because I think about moonwalking and astronauts not having like gravity in space. And I saw on the news yesterday that there's been 2 collisions with the moon lately. I'm like, poor moon. Rob's like, the moon's fine. I'm like, but is it? I don't know.
Just another crater.
So this is actually good for our joints. We'll do 1 more to each side. And this little light airy work is going to prepare us for something a little bit more solid. So now I want you to solidify your feet, stack your leg bones, and engage your leg muscles. Bring your hands to prayer position at your heart. Shift your weight to your right leg and foot, and lift your left knee up. Now, if your balance is off or unsteady today, don't feel like you have to lift your foot too high. You can keep it lower to the floor and tiptoe down whenever you need to. Hold and breathe. Again, try not to compromise the pose by tucking the tailbone or leaning the spine back. And then release. Totally different, right? All right, ground your left foot, stack onto the left side. Pick up your right knee, flex your right ankle, neutralize your pelvis, extend your vertebrae. Set your gaze at one special sedentary spot. And release. Good. Inhale, sweep the arms to your sides and up overhead. Exhale, you're gonna swan dive down to Uttanasana, but you're gonna place the blocks beside your feet as you bow down. Inhale, you're stepping back with your right foot. When you step back with your right foot, you can use your blocks for more stability to bring the floor to you. We're gonna inhale, elevate the hips a little higher, and then exhale, drop the hips a little lower. We're just pulsing up and down, up on the inhale, down on the exhale. Up on the inhale, good, down on the exhale. Now we're gonna find a blend between the two. So pluck up your back thigh, push down through your left foot, feel that extra exertion and engagement, and lift your arms away from the block, sweep them up overhead to crescent lunge. Try to balance, try to breathe here. Arms lifting, palms face each other. Exhale, lower your hands to the blocks. We're gonna hop the back foot forward and down. Once that heel is resting on the back foot, build your arms up, warrior one. Notice you may have a lot more stability now with your back foot completely on the floor. It's similar but different. Square your hips if you can. Roll your pinkies more towards your temples. Broaden your upper back. Exhale, now bring your palms together overhead. Inhale, splay the elbows wider. Exhale, tuck the tailbone. Inhale, push up your chest and allow the head to hang back. Standing backward bend. Affirming, I am free. I am free. All right, we're gonna take the hands down, find the blocks. You're gonna set them ahead of the foot like they were earlier, long enough to pick up your back foot. Now point your right toes towards the back wall. And now flex your ankle and push back through your heel. Dial your right hip just a skosh down, a tiny bit downward. And then exhale, lower the right foot. Good, inhale, build your arms up overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Flex your hands at the top and push your palms up towards the ceiling. Notice when you're reaching up through the heel of the hands, feel what's happening at your base ribs. Feel what's happening in your abdominal section. As you're lifting the arms up, as you're pressing one of those ceiling panels away. And then exhale, release down, grab your blocks, bring them alongside your feet, step back with your left foot. Lunge that front knee. Same sequence here, second side. Inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, to send them down. Few more. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, dropping back in. So notice when we're really sinking down, we're dropping into the joints a little bit. So to be more active, we're gonna plug up the backside, pull in through the pelvic floor, push down through the front big toe, and then lift the arms, crescent lunge. A little bit more test for our balance. Exhale, hands come back to the blocks to stabilize. We can hop the back foot forward and down. Rising up, warrior one. Front knee aligning over the ankle. Hips teeing off unless you need to neutralize the hips more. Pinkies rolling in. Breath staying nice and full. Now join the palms together overhead, splay the elbows wide, tuck the tailbone, lift your base ribs, puff open through the chest, lift through your chin, gaze up, standing backward bend, affirming I am free, I am free. So allowing yoga to cultivate inner freedom, allowing yoga to tap us back into our innate sovereignty. And yoga being the recipe for ultimate liberation. All right, exhale, the hands come down. We're gonna step the blocks forward. We're gonna shift our weight so the left foot lifts. We're pointing through the foot. Notice the difference when we point versus when we flex. Notice the different muscle groups that are included. Gently lower the left foot down. And if you need to be here, stay here. Otherwise, collapse back in. Fold over Uttanasana. Inhale, we're stepping back to plank. When you come into plank pose, be strong through your arms, be strong in your core, strong in your quads as they hug in towards your thigh bones. As you exhale, bring your left knee below the left hip. Turn your foot out, lower the right foot down, take a modified variation of side plank. Reaching that right arm up, fanning the fingers nice and wide. Bring that right hand down, return to plank. Stepping the left foot back, staying long, staying strong. Remember one of our first affirmations, I am strong and courageous. Lower the right knee below the hip, offset that right foot, lower down to the left foot, spin open to the left. Left fingers fanning out. Back foot planting downward. Breath staying open. On your next exhale, bring that hand down, inhale back to plank. All right, from plank position, we're going to lower the knees to make it a little easier today. Last class we worked on Ashtanga Pranam. This class I want to keep the belly plugged in. We're gonna rock the shoulders past the hands and then slowly bring ourselves down, down, down to the floor. All right, untuck the toes, reach back through your shins and feet. Roll the shoulders back away from the face, push through the hands and lift to Bhujangasana Cobra. So your chest should feel wide, your back is fired up. Breathing up and down and affirming I rise joyfully to greet each new opportunity. Now, as we exhale, we're gonna come down to chin or forehead. We're gonna create a fist, hiding the thumbs, and we're gonna stack the fist underneath the inner groove of the thighs, the upper thighs, close to the pubic bone, where you feel that soft indentation spot. And then lift your legs off the floor. Half locust. Turn your toes down. Push through the balls of the feet. Flare them back behind you. Breathe, breathe, breathe. From locust, lower the feet down. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Push up through table. Rock back into extended child's pose, keeping the elbows flying upward so that you're getting a deeper stretch through your side traps, through the shoulders, through the underside of your arms. And then we're gonna bring in a different shoulder piece. So your elbows are gonna crawl in just a slight degree more towards each other. The palms lift away from the floor and come to prayer hands. And then we bow the head in between the upper arms. So this is actually deeper than where you just were. So if this is too intense, you can go back to extended child's pose the regular way. But affirming mentally within as you hold that our prayer is for all of mankind to live in harmony and in peace. Lift the head up, separate your hands shoulder distance, rock up hands and knees, curl the toes, plump up, downward facing dog. Now from downward facing dog, we're gonna walk the feet forward towards the hands. Take your time bringing the feet back up. But once you do, you're gonna take your hands back on top of the blocks in front of you. It's like a modified Uttanasana again, belly plugs in. All right, inhale, separate the hands away from the blocks, bring the arms up overhead. Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands to heart center. Okay, I want you to know these blocks are in front of you and available if you want to go back to this pose here. So if you need it to be more gentle, that's the way to make it more gentle, okay? But what we're gonna do is we're gonna solidify the left foot, stand strong in the left leg, hands to heart, and we're picking up the right knee again. Pada Uttanasana A. Then we're going to push that right foot towards the back wall, similar to what we did with blocks, but we're gonna try to splay the wings of the arms out like an airplane. The blocks are below, so catch the blocks with your hands. Steady yourself here. Good, exhale, bend the standing knee, crunch the knee towards the nose. Inhale, flare the right leg back, lengthen out through your neck. Exhale, scrunch in. Inhale, power back. Last one, exhale, curl it in. Lower the right foot, Re-straighten both legs. Inhale the arms up. All right, second side, hands to heart. Stacking and standing on the right foot. Picking up the left knee. Pada Gustasana A. When you're ready, see if you can fly. Hands down to the blocks. Stabilize here first. And then contract and curl in next. And then flow with your breath. Inhale, create extension through your limbs, through your back. Exhale, contract and curl in. One more. Once you lower the left foot down to join the right, you're gonna pick up your heels. Use your blocks to stabilize for toe balance. Working the fascia of the feet. And then when you're ready, bring your hand down beside you, lower down to your seat. Slide your legs out in front. Okay, you're gonna bend the right knee. Now your foot can stay on the inside just as it is, or you can stack it to the outside. Hug that knee in with your left arm, pull up through your chest. Exhale, spin to your right. Consider for a moment how you give, show, and exemplify your love. Send your love and light out to those you may not even know. Dealing with some of the traumatic events as of late. To the flooding or the hurricane in California, to wildfires in California, Maui, Canada, war zones in the Middle East, Ukraine, people who are oppressed, even our own. Firm, I radiate my love, goodwill, compassion to soul, friends, everywhere. Mind from that position. Whew, that was deep. Right leg out, left knee bends. Foot established here or to the outside, doesn't matter, still the same twist. It can get really sloppy here in the spine, so make sure you really extend first. Hug the knee in, then rotate left. Replenishing and nourishing the disc in between each vertebra. We're providing some nourishment for the nerve roots. Helping out and aiding digestion. But also think about the love and the light that you want to send out to the world. Radiate my love, goodwill, compassion to soul friends everywhere. Exhale, unwind. All right, uncross that leg, draw the feet together. Lift up energetically and exhale, fold down the middle. Baddha Konasana. Your cobbler or mound pose. All right, exhale, draw the knees together. We're gonna lower down to our backs. And hug your left knee in. And extend your right leg out in front of you. Notice if you're holding, supporting, or feeling really tense or tight. Any region that's being affected here. Maybe it's your hip, maybe it's your inner thigh, maybe it's your low back. And then let's swap. Extend the left leg out, hug your right knee in. Now draw both knees in. Giving yourself a big, warm embrace. Then fan your arms out and line up your knees right over the rim of the pelvis. So your feet are just barely hovering above the floor. I want us to massage the piriformis. So send your knees about halfway down to the floor to your left side. And hopefully you'll find that tender or sweet spot in that muscle of the piriformis that moves from the hip across to the buttocks. And you're just rocking the knees up and down. Doing little circles there. Lift the knees back through center. Tilt the knees over to the right to the degree, probably about, for me, it's about halfway towards the floor. You'll know it when you find it. Just kind of rocking the knees up and down or forward and back just to massage that area out. If this muscle gets really tight, it can mess up your back. This is one way to massage it on your own. You're not going to get physical touch from, say, a masseuse. And then gently come back to center. All right, we're going to roll away to one side. And I'm going to give you an option here with props. And if you sit up, I'll show you the two different options, and then you can determine which you want to explore. The first one, simple back bend, bolster under the spine. You know, no big deal. Although I say no big deal, but this may not be comfortable for you for some reason or another. If you wanted less of a back bend, and you just wanted to be more reclined, you know, you could stack the blocks under it so that it's more like this. Your blanket can go under the knees or over your body for covering, or even under your head as a pillow. This is really one of the most important pieces of the practice. Hopefully we've worked into the physical layer enough so that it can be more subdued and more relaxed. Hopefully the mindfulness and your mental focus has calmed the inner stirrings of the mind. You want to stay in this quiet space. Simply observe the ebb and the flow of your breath to maintain that sense of calm. But if there is something you've been struggling with, I would like you to create a personal affirmation to reclaim your power. To work with mind over matter. And to plant these positive seeds, thoughts, and to reach for the higher truth. For instance, if you've been struggling with your health, start telling yourself internally, I am healthy and whole. If you've been feeling lonely and unloved, say internally, I am loved and supported. Make that meaningful and personal to you and your life and experience. And then you can use that affirmation as something to roll over in your mind for the remainder of our time together.
sound. Take that as your indication to open up your breath work. Deepen its flow. To activate a little movement and to begin your exit out of this pose. Taking your time to come out. To form a seated position. Your eyes closed. Joining your hands. Holding this gesture of grace and gratitude at the heart. Gesture of reverence. This gesture of union. Hopefully you feel more united within. Hopefully you feel more connected to your higher self. The light that represents the higher self that resides within each of our hearts. Let's pay our respects, honor that light within everyone who exists here today. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be here, be willing participants, even if you needed to opt out. Have a beautiful day, rest of your week.